Hey, I have a website. My website is called pointlesstraveler.com. And I want you to see this video clip that I made. I bought a bunch of ultra lightweight electronic gear for backpacking, but I returned it all because it didn't work. Well, that's a Fuel Terabyte. This is the Fuji X100S travel camera. That's the Galaxy S3 with. This is the Solar Monkey from Power Traveler. And I'm going to try to transfer the photos from the X100S to the Fuel. Now, I haven't done it yet. Okay, swipe up to open it up. There's no. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got the Nexus Media Importer opened up. This is like a program for backpackers. Ah. Okay, so why was I doing that? The Fuel Terabyte that you saw there, it's designed for the iPad and the iPhone. You're supposed to use the Wi-Fi and the iPad and the iPhone to send photo and video over to that Fuel. Okay, but after about a month, anywhere from a month to 4 months into your travels, if you take cheap airlines and if you take ferries and if you camp in the rain and hike in the rain, humidity is going to get inside of that Fuel and you're going to lose some of your creative controls like Wi-Fi. I needed to be able to set up cables so that I could pass the photos and videos from an SDHC card over to the Fuel. And in order to do that, I needed a little mini computer. And supposedly the Google Nexus 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S3 were able to use this Google program called the Nexus Media Importer Pro to transfer the files from the SDHC card over to the Fuel. It never worked. The reason it didn't work was maybe because those little phones need more juice. They need like a battery pack because it needs to run the wheel inside of the Terabyte. And also because the cables are really difficult to buy. The ones that you need are called OTG, on-the-go data transfer cables. And all the little connectors that you need, it all has to be correct or it won't work. At any rate, it never did work. I ordered the Nexus 7, which is bigger than an iPad mini and very, very heavy. I thought it weighed almost 2 pounds. I wouldn't recommend it. I ordered the Nexus 5 from Google, but it was $350. Plus the Terabyte Fuel is $150. That's $500. And that's actually more money than a whole entire terabyte in SDHC cards. Okay, so this is what an ultra lightweight terabyte looks like. These are 4 PNY 256 gigabyte SDHC cards. Okay, you can see that it says 58 hours of HD video, 90 megabyte write speed, PNY Elite Performance SDHC card. The MacBook Air, okay, this looks ultra lightweight and packable. It isn't, okay? Do not bring the MacBook Air or an iPad with you. These are not ultra lightweight electronic devices at all. Alright, here's a 20-liter pack. There, if you put the MacBook Air in it, it disappears, but you can't put it down. Boom, because it'll hit the ground, okay? So let's start putting it away. You gotta put a candy shell on it. Same thing on top. And then you need to put it into a soft case, okay, like that. Then when you're in the third world, people sell DVDs on the sidewalk all the time, so you got to buy a DVD player. And then you've got your cords. All right, and then zip it up. Okay, now all of a sudden, this is as big as like a 17-inch Toshiba Toughbook. It's huge, okay, and it also weighs about 3 pounds. So this is not ultra lightweight or packable, okay? Here's the bag. It's a 20-liter bag. It pretty much fills up the whole bag. It's about 15 liters. Okay, so iPhone. Obviously the iPhone is one of the most lightweight pieces of electronic gear that somebody can bring with them on a trip. You can take this into a nightclub or a restaurant and people don't mind having their photo taken. If you want to take screenshots of maps from Google Maps, with instructions on how to get around, you can bring your, this could be like your guidebook. You do all the research before the trip and bring it all with you. You can use this as a GPS. It gives you your location and it makes it really easy to walk to wherever you're going. You can also use it for snorkeling and surfing. You can't use it for scuba diving. You can get the LifeProof. The LifeProof makes it waterproof. Okay, basically, it snaps in like this, okay? The Solar Monkey, it's designed to charge an iPhone. So it comes with this fitting. You put the USB in the bottom here. Okay? And then in theory, you pop it in down here. Now, as you can see, it doesn't fit, but they also sell an adapter for 30 bucks that you have to put on here and then you plug it in. Yeah, the iPhone is great. It takes better point and shoot photographs than any other point and shoot camera. During the 80s, there was this old Irish superstition called Murphy's Law, which is that you're always going to see the best things if you don't bring a camera. You're always going to meet cool people when you don't have a phone. So if you don't bring any phone or any camera, you'll see giant butterflies, rainbows. The whole entire trip will be more memorable if you don't bring anything. I think that when people bring electronics, it causes them to keep an eye on their stuff, and that's really more appropriate. Like 10 years ago in Brazil and Peru, people wouldn't bring any camera or any phone with them in their bag. They would have a tendency to get really drunk and leave their bag on the beach, and then crackheads or whatever would come and steal their stuff. And then they would have to spend the whole day making friends with like a local pimp and try to ask for their bag back from like the criminals in the neighborhood and stuff. When you bring electronics with you, it causes you to keep an eye on your stuff. It's not really appropriate for travelers to like let their stuff get stolen. The Fuji X100S, for pickpockets to make money off of a camera, they need to be able to get money for it at a pawn shop. And this camera looks like an antique camera, and pawn shops don't know what it is. So pickpockets know that they can't really get a lot of money for this camera. The camera is actually black. There's silver paint on top of the black magnesium alloy body. It'll start at the edges, but eventually the silver paint will be missing from like the whole front of the camera. And that makes the camera look like total crap, and it prevents the camera from being stolen. This is a screw-on lens cap. It locks moisture out of the camera. Most of the moisture that gets into the camera gets in through the lens, and that's what really breaks cameras. And there's little tiny stainless steel wires inside of the camera that will rust. So by putting this UV filter adapter on the front of the lens, and then putting this screw-on lens cap, that locks moisture out of the camera. After a couple of months using this camera on the road, a lot of the creative controls of the camera are going to break. The Wi-Fi won't work. This is the manual focal ring. There will be times when you have to use this, when the camera won't even autofocus, and you can use this. The aperture ring will stop working, so you just leave it on auto mode. The high ISO will stop working. When the camera's new, you can set it to 4000 ISO, which takes really silky photographs of sunsets and stuff like that. But once the camera gets old, you just switch it to auto, and it doesn't really matter anymore. What you really want is the camera to take great JPEGs in auto mode. There's a big difference between cameras that are legal to sell in the United States and what's called a gray market camera. When you buy this camera, the Fuji X100S, if you buy it in the United States, it'll be like twice as expensive. But the difference is that the gray market camera has what's called fiddly bits. On a gray market camera, that will be loose and fiddly, and what that does is it allows moisture to get into those areas. So on an American camera, the buttons are a lot tighter, and that keeps the moisture out. Also, the software program that's in the camera, it comes with the camera, whereas with a gray market camera, you have to go onto the website, and the Fujifilm firmware needs to be downloaded. And then at that point, basically, the camera is running a software program that's actually on the SDHC card, and it won't work as well. You've got your SDHC card. Let's see if I can get it out. Okay, there it is. And you've got your battery. Okay, here's the charger. Alright, and it's got a little LCD on it. And it has a spot where you can plug in the USB from the Power Traveler Solar Monkey solar panel. Okay. What I want to show you here is all the different things that the Fuji X100S does, okay? What we've got here is we've got 3 shots. This is 4000 ISO, this is 6500 ISO, and this is 800 ISO. The Fuji camera is famous for taking these glossy photos that have these really silky, smooth looks in this high ISO. 4000 is the best, okay? But what I want you to see is that you can't depend on this. If you just set the Fuji X100S to 4000 ISO, your photos will be totally blown out and wrecked. So when you're taking a portrait like this, you can switch it to 4000 ISO. But normally you have to leave it on this one, this 800 ISO. So all of these other photos, these are all 800, okay? And I just want you to see that. All right, this is 800 ISO. I just want to show this. This has got a lot of bokeh. Bokeh is a Japanese word that means drunk. It means fuzzy, and it's used to describe the creamy fuzziness in photos. When a camera has great bokeh, it means that part of the image is in focus and the rest is blurry. So this has got bokeh right there. Okay, in order to get bokeh, you have to set it to macro on the Fuji X100S. If you don't set it to macro, you won't be able to get bokeh. And you can't focus on anything while the camera is in macro if it's more than 10 feet away. So you have 10 feet to play with. All right, so this is the original image, okay, and here's after. All right, this is in high pro negative. On the XE1, this was the best film simulator. This is called high pro negative. If you aren't going to use this high pro negative, you can get a cheaper camera. You can get the XM1. Or you can get the Panasonic GM1. So here's the original photo, and then here's what I did to it. Okay. All right, this is also in high pro negative, but this is cropped. Okay, so there's the original photo, pretty good photo. That's in RAW. All right, high pro negative, and then there it is cropped. All right. Same thing with this one. This is in natural. Okay, so this is in NH. Give it a second. Okay, so this is NH. I think that this looks pretty good. These colors are a little less smudgy. They're a little more muted and natural in NH. Okay, this is Velvia. Okay, so there's the original image. There's what I did to it. Okay. All right, this is a panorama. I think that it looks pretty good. Revert to original. Okay, there's the original. This is all in 800 ISO. None of this is in really high ISO. Okay, and then this is in the standard ProVia. These are the standard colors that come with the camera. All right, there's the original image, and then there's that. That's what I did to it. Obviously, if you want bokeh, you gotta hit your macro off or on. On for bokeh, off for no bokeh. Okay. Flash, you can turn your flash on or off hitting the flash button, okay? Autofocus, you hit up and then you move the green square around, okay? You can make that square bigger. There we go. That's the area that will be in focus, okay? Then you can hit your Q menu, okay? And you can change your ISO if you want to take a portrait shot. You can change that to 4,000. Okay, you can go 4,000, 5,000, 6,400. For dynamic range, that's your shadow lightning. You should always put it on 400. For your film simulator, that's standard ProVia, but you can also choose Velvia. There's high pro negative, natural. NH is a good one also. Okay, and then normally you'd shoot in RAW. It's really, this camera really can't handle anything other than RAW, but if you want, you can choose Fine JPEG. And then if you choose Fine JPEG, you can choose your size. That's 12 megapixels, full frame. If you want to control your flash, go here. You go out and you look for the flash in the bigger menu. It's there at the bottom. Okay, during the nighttime, you want it to be all the way down to -2/3. But during the daytime, when you're taking pictures of people who are standing in the shade, you want it to be all the way up. So we got a photo that I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, this is in Aperture. This is in the Mac app Aperture. It's like $85 off the Mac App Store. This background is a little bit grainy. It's not the creamiest bokeh I ever saw in my life, but it is a pretty cool photo. This image of the crystal is pretty crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert to original, and I'm going to start over, and I'm going to show you how I did this, okay? So right away you can see the original image is kind of dim, and it's actually kind of grainy and a little bit blurry even, okay? So let's, we're going to open up our levels, and I always go from right to left. I make it brighter, and then I make it more contrasty. So I'm going to make it brighter. Oops, see. This is a raw data image, so my computer's, it's taken a little while for my computer to get used to it. But that's about, basically I just eyeball it. I don't really look at the photo per se. I just try to think about how bright I want the picture to be. Okay, and yeah, that looks cool. It's kind of glowing. And then yeah, I want it to be like that bright. Okay, and that looks cool. Obviously, it looks blown out right now. Okay, it looks like too bright. Okay, I check my LCD, make sure it's turned up all the way. Then I'm going to turn this down. Okay, I'm going to make it darker, maybe even more. Alright, now it's really glowing, right? That looks like it's glowing or something, okay? Fix this up a little bit, bring that into focus. Make that a little bit more contrasty. Okay, so that's pretty sick, huh? That's really weird, right? Now let's play with the contrast. This is the saturation. Okay, we want to bring the colors in. Okay, so now what do you think of that image? Pretty weird. It's actually really contrasty. There's a lot of shadow darkening here. But you know, it's always different. Every time is different.
Okay, every time you take a photograph, there's a small internal memory inside the camera body. That internal memory has to record the photograph, and then it's transferred to the SDHC card. Half of this write speed is used for absorbing the image off of the camera onto the card, and the other half of the speed is used to send the photo image off of the card onto the computer. It doesn't really matter how fast the disk sends the image onto the computer. What you really want is you want the disk to absorb the image off of the camera body. So with the 30 megabyte, only 10 megabytes are absorbing the data off the camera, and 20 megabytes are used to send the photo off of the disk onto the computer. With the PNY, 40 megabytes are used to absorb the image off the camera, and 50 megabytes are used to send the image off the disk onto the computer. While I was out on my trip today taking pictures, I put the PNY disk into the camera, and right away I got this error message. Okay, the error message says card not initialized. This is how you format your PNY 256 gigabyte SDHC card. Get your card reader here, then put it into the computer. Here's your 256 gig PNY. This is your SDHC card right here. Okay, you're gonna open App Finder. You're gonna go to Applications. You're gonna go to Utilities. You're gonna go to Disk Support, Disk Utility. Okay, you're gonna open that up. Okay, this is the PNY SDHC card right here, and here's the driver. Okay, you're gonna go to Erase. And you're gonna click that one. You're gonna select MS-DOS FAT. Okay, and then you're gonna give it a name, and you're gonna erase it. Okay, now your SDHC card is initialized.